The Eifel region of Germany is surprisingly beautiful in June sunshine, and the views from Nurburgring Castle show a countryside that's perfect for walking and for cycling. But if motorised transport is more your thing, the Nurburgring circuit offers the perfect playground. Just a few kilometres away from Michael Schumacher's hometown, the track has evolved for more than 80 years to become a modern facility with eye-catching architecture. Well, this great venue is now host to Superleague Formula by Sonan Gold. Just 1 week ago, they were racing at Jarama in Spain. Now in Germany, and in 3 weeks' time, they'll be in Belgium before a second visit to the UK. And then 3 tracks that are new to Superleague: Adria, Portimao and Navarra in the north of Spain. Thanks for joining us on a big day of sport around the world. I'm Ben Edwards. Alongside me is Bruce Ioane in the commentary box, and Abby Griffiths is our spy in the pit lane. The track combines fast and flowing sections with more tricky technical areas. And Bruce, I know it's a track that you clicked with the very first time you raced here.
Well, yes, I was lucky. I won on my first time on the track a while ago now. But yeah, very interesting track, great to drive. First sector with being very tricky, and lots of overtaking possibilities as well at the end of the main straight at the back in sector 2.
So definitely one to enjoy for us as watchers as well as for the teams. Already the teams are preparing for the second race of the day. Earlier this morning the field went into race 1, led by front row qualifiers Julian Jus for AS Roma and Robert Dornbos of Corinthians. Let's see what happens. There were problems on the formation lap. Even before the race got underway, John Martin had a loose rear wheel and the Beijing car did not take the start. As the start happened, there was a bit of chaos, cars all over the place, and the 2 front row cars of AS Roma and Corinthians were squeezed down the pack. It was the black and red car of AC Milan that just sneaked in front of Anderlecht into second place. But the first lap also saw drama for Sébastien Bourdais. He ran wide and so nearly hit the tyre wall. Thankfully he was able to recover and go on to finish the race. Battles further through the pack saw PSV in the red and white colours, Nurburgring Kartikeyan fighting off Porto, Alvaro Perent trying everything to get past that machine, but he was just denied. Max Wissel for Basel did find a way past the Sporting Lisbon car of Borja Garcia. It was a good move down into turn 1. The pit stops came and AC Milan controlled the race and continued to control the race as Tottenham tried to recover from a starting position at the back of the grid. Liverpool, meanwhile, were attacking for 5th place, trying to get past Julian Jus in the AS Roma car. And the only incident of note was this one between Sporting Lisbon and PSV. AC Milan came through to take a very comfortable victory, and Jelmer Berman scored his 3rd victory of the season to narrow the gap between AC Milan and Tottenham in the championship. So this is how the points were scored in that first race then. 50 went to AC Milan, Anderlecht took the 45 points for second, and Olympiacos took 40 for third. But as you look down the list, the notable moment there is 10th position for Tottenham Hotspur. They came from the back, but didn't get as many places as they would have liked. Those who didn't score well included Sébastien Bourdais, Frank Montagny of Bordeaux also not scoring, Alvaro Perent also out of the race, and Beijing's John Martin, as we saw, didn't even make it to the start of that race. Now, this is what it means in terms of the championship. Tottenham is still on top, but that lead has been reduced by Milan. Anderlecht in 3rd place and Basel in 4th. They've been passed by Anderlecht, but look at Olympiacos. They're still very close in that hunt. Corinthians are now up into the top 10, and outside the top 10 we've got Sporting Lisbon, Bordeaux, and of course Beijing, who had a miserable start to the weekend here at the Nurburgring. Now remember, the way the second race lines up is a reverse of that first race in terms of finishing order. So John Martin might have been out of luck earlier, but he now starts on pole for Beijing. Alongside him is Alvaro Perent of FC Porto. Row 2 is Maria de Villota, who went off into the gravel. She lines up alongside Frank Montagny of Bordeaux. Sébastien Bourdais here made an extra pit stop, so he starts 5th on the grid. And he's got Nurburgring Kartikeyan of PSV right next door. Borja Garcia for Sporting Lisbon starts 7th. Marcos Martinez of Seville starts 8th. On row 5, there is Craig Dolby. He needs to score points from race 2. Tristan Gomedy of Galatasaray is next to him. Max Wissel for Basel is 11th. Robert Dornbos of Corinthians is 12th. Next up, we've got James Walker of Liverpool, Julian Jus of AS Roma, then Frank Pereira for Flamengo, and Chris van der Drift of Olympiacos. And at the back, of course, the top 2 from that previous race, David Rigon of Anderlecht, and the race winner, AC Milan's Jelmer Berman. Well, Berman will be looking to achieve something that's yet to be done in Super League, to win both of the 45-minute races and then win the Super Final on the same day. The hat-trick flag will be presented to any driver that achieves that goal, and the flag has been signed by all of the Super League drivers. Well, it's going to be a tall order for Jelmer Berman to achieve that. He is starting right at the back, but we've seen how fast he's been, and Abby caught up with him just a few moments ago.
Jaume, so fast in race 1, but up until now, race 2 hasn't been your strong point.
No, I'm just taking it easy in race 2. No, I just don't want to take too many risks, and we'll see. I mean, here you can overtake a bit better, so hopefully it'll be better here.
But this is a massive opportunity for you, Jaume, because Craig Dolby, if he's still down the order, it could really spice up the championship.
Yeah, that's what we're aiming for, so I'm just going to do my best now and try to finish and then see where we end up.
Good luck.
So Jelmer Berman there, and of course the championship leader still Tottenham, but that gap has been a little reduced, as we know. Craig starts further up on the grid, of course, than Jelmer Berman, and we always know how good he is at overtaking other cars. So can he do that in this one and score useful points? We'll wait to see. There have been some other teams that have been performing better this weekend than we have seen, though. Corinthians are definitely one of those. Robert Dornbos, a former winner here at the Nurburgring in 2008 in Super League, while he was on the front row, disappointed a little bit by the start in that previous race. He could do things in this one. And we've also seen a couple of other clubs going well. PSV and Sporting Lisbon. Unfortunately, though, they had this incident in that first race. Now, when drivers have an incident like this, do they fall out with each other or do they forgive one another? We've investigated.
Oh, he's crashed. What's going on here? Oh,
The crashes all takes off 2 cars.
Lisa, whose fault was that?
Drivers are focused to the extreme, dedicated to the point where their sole purpose is to overtake the competition and emerge on top of the leaderboard. It is no surprise, therefore, that emotions always run high after a crash.
Sometimes you have to use your mind when you have so much experience.
I made a mistake and I took 2 guys out, and I'm sorry for that.
At the last round in Jarama, it was Atletico Madrid's Maria de Rolotta seeking forgiveness.
Oh. What was that?
It's racing, you know, it can happen. I feel sorry for him, and for sure it wasn't on purpose, so...
At the time, Sebastian Bourdais was fuming.
Yeah, but there's the difference between making a mistake and making something like that. It's just plain dangerous, it's stupid. It makes no sense because there's nothing to win and there's everything to lose, so...
Have you managed to offer Sebastian Bourdais an apology?
Well, I tried, but he was in the track, he didn't want to speak with anyone.
So 1 week later, has Sebastian forgiven Maria?
Whatever happens is already a thing of the past. So you just try and learn. If you made a mistake, there's nothing you can do about it. You just forget about it and move on, because there's nothing else you can do.
Bourdais knows about making mistakes too. Race 2 in Manicourt saw him flying over Flamengo's Frank Pereira.
Home circuit, and 3 French guys have taken each other off. So whose fault was that?
Sebastian Bourdais, clearly.
For sure, my relation with the Bourdais now is not very great, and because he didn't really make an excuse on me. But in the end, I don't have any problem with any drivers.
Also in Manicourt, Olympiakos' driver Chris van der Drift tested his teammates' loyalty as he ran into the back of Max Vissel's car.
Oh, we've got a car off already. Basel car, Max Vissel, straight into the gravel.
We spoke many times before we start that we never quit between teammates. I know what's going wrong.
You know, you have to forget about it and try and move on, because we have so many more races in the year. And if we fight against each other, then we both can lose out. So I think it's more important that forget about that and carry on.
We both did a mistake, for me with the bad end, but then I won the second race and go home with 50,000 euros, so it's okay.
Well, here on the grid for race 2, Sebastian Bourdais, who featured quite heavily in that little discussion about forgiving or forgetting. He starts 5th on the grid for this one, and actually was involved in an incident, not with another car, though, in that first race. He went off, looked like a mistake on his own. We didn't quite see the beginning of it, but thankfully he was able to recover and get the car back on track. But he has the potential here of a good result. It's good to see, though, some football fans enjoying the World Cup and Super League Formula here this weekend. It's a big match tonight, Germany versus England, and lots of people's thoughts are on that. There is the only German driver on the grid. It is Max Vissel, and he's had a little bit of a tricky time already this weekend. He desperately wants a good result, and Abby caught up with him a little earlier.
Max, you were so dejected yesterday in qualifying, but you brilliantly turned it around in race 1.
Yeah, race 1 was quite okay for us. We did a fastest lap time, so that's what we expect with a good engine now. So the engine is definitely 4 up to 5 k's quicker than the engine from yesterday, and that makes a difference from P12 or maybe P1 or 2. So I was quite happy with my second stint in race 1. We are one of the quickest. So now we will see. I need P5 or 6 for the super final. I will do my best.
Now, Max, it's a huge game between Germany and England today. You've got an English club in front of you, an English club behind you. Who's going to be victorious on the track?
Hopefully me, but yeah, we will see. We know Craig is a brilliant starter, so from my side, hopefully can follow him. And I think we have the better pace than him. Yeah, as long as the race is long, and we will see.
The second race of the day of Superleague Formula by Son Angol getting ready to get underway. And at the back, the winner of the earlier race, of course, it is Jelmer Berman for AC Milan, seeing if he can back up the victory. And another one who's featuring in the championship, no doubt about it, Davide Rigon. Great start by the Anderlecht driver, got him into a decent position. But watch out for Chris van der Drift. We've been impressed with him so far.
Oh yes, he's been competitive since the beginning of the year, and just now very fast, another podium for him.
He drives for Olympiacos. Next to him is the Flamengo car, the Brazilian club, the other Brazilian club, with French driver Frank Pereira on board. And he was quick throughout qualifying, just missing out in his qualifying battle. And this guy was very fast in qualifying, pole position.
Yes, pole position, but wasn't happy with his car in the first race.
So hopefully more to come. He had a big battle with this car in race one. That is the Liverpool machine, of course, reigning champions. But James Walker on a circuit that he knows well. And just ahead of them, we've got the Corinthians machine of Robert Dornbos. He was a part of that battle. But watch out for the car that's next to him. We just heard from him. Max Wissel could be a threat here.
Yeah, he's been the quickest man this morning in the first race. 1:44.8, clearly the quickest car, so we have to look at him.
Yeah, he starts on row 6. On row 5, we're counting backwards here, remember, is Galatasaray's Tristan Gomedy. He caught that group that were fighting for 5th, but couldn't find a way through. And joining him on that 5th row, Craig Dolby. He needs a better first lap this time.
Yes, first lap was nothing special in the first race. He needs to do a Craig Dolby race again and try to move up to score as many points as possible.
We're up to row 4 now. This is Seville and Marcos Martinez. He also could do with a strong result. Next door to him, Borja Garcia, who we saw was involved in that incident with PSV, with Narain Carter-K. And thankfully, both cars survived. And actually finishing just behind him and therefore one ahead of him on the grid is indeed the car of PSV.
Yeah, they had a bit of a tangling moment and crash together, but the two of them are more competitive this weekend, so it's good to see them at the front in the rain. Is always great to watch.
Yeah, but so is Sebastian Bourdais, and you know, he might not have finished that first race very well, but he's won a race already this year. Could be a danger man in this one. We're working our way forwards further. We're now on the second row of the grid, and race winner of race number 2 at Jarama last week was this man, Frank Montagny for Bordeaux. He could do something here, and interestingly alongside is Maria de Vallota.
Yes, Maria. Let's hope she does well this time. She doesn't spin and doesn't create any drama. She's on a better form. She's getting better. So let's cross the fingers for her.
And onto the front row then. It is the blue car of FC Porto. Portuguese driver Alvaro Parente on board. And on pole position, the green and white colours of Beijing Guan, the champion team of 2008, with Australian John Martin at the wheel. A race winner last time out at Jarama. Can he do it again here? So that's the lineup then. Beijing, John Martin, he started from pole in Jarama in race 1 and went on to take the victory. He's got that little bit of extra confidence from taking a recent win. You're looking at the onboard shot just briefly from him. The clear view down to turn 1, but will it be so clear on the actual start? It was a slightly messy start in race 1, and I wonder if the race director may well have had a word or two with them and with the teams and said, right, I want to see a cleaner start this time. I want to see you more bunched up coming out of that final corner. They're just going away on their formation lap in a moment, and Beijing, John Martin particularly will want to put the first race behind him. He didn't even get into it with a loose rear wheel. I gather you discovered what the problem was there, Bruce?
Yeah, the wheel wasn't well into the car, even though the nuts was locked in. Then the wheel was going to move and fall off the car. That's what happened, and off they go for the green flag lap. Warming up the tyres, the brakes, making sure everything is up to temperature for the start.
Having a quick run through that grid once again, as you can see, and you're watching for the faster cars from the first race, remember, being down towards the back. Superleague Formula is unique in that it puts the winners from the race 1 right at the back. It's not a partial reverse grid, it is completely reversed. So the very last car about to head down into that Mercedes arena section is the black and red colour of AC Milan and Jelmer Berman, who has his work cut out if he's going to win a second race of the day. But it's all about scoring points, and he has managed to slightly narrow that gap to Tottenham. It's still quite a big gap, but there are 50 points on offer for each race victory. Anderlecht sitting in third. Basel and Olympiacos separated by 11 points. AS Roma, Julian Jus has been very strong in recent events. Flamengo, Liverpool, and then Porto, they need to score well. Corinthians with an opportunity perhaps to do that. Sporting Lisbon and Bordeaux complete the top 12 places. Further down we've got Seville, and really one of those big surprises, I suppose, virtually at the halfway stage of the season is that Sébastien Bourdais, who came into Super League towards the end of last year and was mighty as soon as he entered it, he's down in 16th place with that team. I know it's a new team, Bruce, and they have had a lot of learning to do. Still surprising that Sébastien Bourdais and Olympique Lyonnais are down in 16th place in the points.
Yeah, it's true. It's very surprising because even the team is new to the series, but it's a strong team. The technical people behind are strong. They've been working with Sebastian before. There's so much experience there that they should do better. But it shows one thing, is that the championship level is very high and extremely competitive.
And that's what's great about this series. You've got drivers with Formula One experience, with Champ Car winning championship experience like Sébastien Bourdais. You've got other ex-F1 drivers like Robert Dornbos and Nurburgring Kartikeyan, but you've got these young superstars of the future, people like Craig Dolby, Jelmer Berman and Julian Jus, and I love this combination that we're getting here.
Yeah, it's an opportunity for the young ones to show what they're capable of doing, and they show great ability and great experience, and they're strong and regular in the races. So no, it's a very great mix.
And these cars, big, powerful, V12 powered machines, they're not an easy car to drive, are they?
No, they're very hard. That's why Max Wessel, who's been driving the car for 3 years now, has got to grips with the car, and he's strong and very consistent, basically. They're very powerful, hard to get back on the throttle. You're going to see the car sliding around, exiting all the corners. It's very hard to control, easy to make a mistake. If you make a mistake, it's over.
As you can see, conditions are just about perfect here at the Nurburgring. I've been here on occasions when it's been snowing. You've been here on occasions when it's covered in fog. But we've got a wonderful, wonderful day here.
Yep, great day, and now they're forming up.
Here we are then, getting ready. The front row trying to gather the cars together. We've got somebody coming straight into the pits, though, a problem immediately.
James Walker from Liverpool, straight into the pits. That's a race gonna be over for him already. We're on board with Maya de Villota.
Here we go, ready for the start. It's a much more controlled start this time than it was in race one. And the leaders go away. And it's a good start from Alvaro Parente in the blue car for FC Porto. Beijing not making quite such a good getaway. Watch out for Frank Montagny on the inside, trying to take second place as Martin goes deep, deep, deep and wide into turn one. Montagny, I'm sure, will take second, and everybody else follows through. It's Alvaro Parente, the Portuguese driver for the Portuguese club, who's got the lead.
Yes, Maya de Villota already down in 4th or 5th place. Great start from Franck Montagny. Olympique Lyonnais is already there as well, just behind Maya de Villota. Bourdais is in 5th position, actually 4th position. He already made a move on Maya de Villota.
And I think Dolby's had a better start in this race too as well. Tottenham making 1 or 2 places off the grid as everybody else jostling behind. You can see the Corinthians, we're on board with Corinthians, tucked in behind Julian Jus of AS Roma and Robert Dornbos trying to show that pace he had in qualifying. But poor James Walker coming into the pits at the worst possible moment just before the race gets underway. Looks like an engine problem there underneath the engine cover. And watch at the back, no real change from the guys who won, or the man who won earlier on. I think Jelmer Berman has got 1 place. He's got past Anderlecht, but otherwise he's still down at the back. Very hard to make much ground on the opening lap. We saw that in race 1, and it seems to be happening again in race 2.
Yes, a little bit of a choo-choo train, but Tottenham and Craig Dolby is already very close from there in Kartikeyan, and we know that Craig is super good at overtaking. Is he going to try to make a move at the end of this main back straight? He's just there, right into the gearbox, tries on the outside. He's on the outside for the braking area. Oof.
And he's attacked by Seville. Seville have come up the inside to try and take that place. So he's going to come through. He's got to cut back on the exit of the corner. Marcos Martinez really opportunistic there. He saw Dolby going on the attack, and that was clever stuff, but he has lost out.
Yes, but what a great recovery maneuver from Craig Dolby, because he had to back off because Nurburgring wouldn't give him any space. He wanted to go to the inside, but Marcos Martinez was there, and he has to defend still on Marcos Martinez. Defends brilliantly, very nice, and behind Max Wessel as well, trying to make a move on Borja Garcia and the Sporting de Lisboa. there is overtaking and pushing everywhere around the field.
It's great. AC Milan, you're watching on board with our earlier race winner, trying to get past Flamengo with Frank Pereira at the wheel. That's not going to be easy either, because the Flamengo car's been fast all weekend, but it's a reverse grid, remember, so all the fast guys are starting towards the back, and that still makes it difficult to overtake because you're trying to pass a very rapid machine. AC Milan have some work to do, but there's a long way to go in this race. It's a 45-minute race. There's a pit stop to deal with as well, and out in front at the moment it's Porto. Bordeaux in second place, Beijing in third, Lyon in fourth, Atletico Madrid, Maria is running in fifth, Liverpool back on track. They had a low system pressure. I don't know whether that's curable. He looks as though he's still going pretty slowly to me.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be cured that easily. I think it's over for him.
Yeah, that's a great shame.
That's a shame, yeah.
He's really been improving and moving up the ranks in the last couple of events, but it's all gone wrong for him here. Alvaro Parent, though, a man who told us the other day as we came into the circuit that he knows this track well and has had some great memories here. He's won a couple of championships when he's been racing here in the past, and so he'll be feeling very comfortable leading Frank Montagny in second place. Then the Beijing car, and we've got this battle going on behind, and Tottenham there with
they overtook. They used the push to pass, and Tottenham, yes, they got past PSV.
Excellent, good stuff from Craig Dolby. That's put him up into 7th position now. So PSV down to 8th place, and Seville right behind, and Marcos Martinez looking pretty rapid. So Dolby is on one of his charges.
Yeah, and Galatasaray is going to overtake Maria de Villota, I think. Yes, on the inside, Maria defending, but she has to give room. He used the push to pass for that. Job done.
Nice one from Tristan Gomendi for Galatasaray. As long as he doesn't run too wide, just about gets it back on where he needs it to be. And Maria had a moment where she thought she was going to reclaim 5th place, but she now is down to 6th, but she's maintaining the pace. Behind her now is Tottenham. So Craig Dolby's next target is indeed Maria de Villota, as we take another look at the start.
Yep, very clean start, good start from Girondin Bordeaux, and from Galatasaray as well at the back that we see moving along the field. We're on board with John Martin, who was on the outside line and run way too deep, went too deep into the corner, and Frank Montagny on the inside could take the 2nd spot.
Amazingly, they kept it clean through turn 1 for the 2nd time today after a busy start, and that takes some doing, so well done to those guys. But this was a replay a moment ago of Galatasaray getting past Maria and getting past the Madrid machine. Fairly straightforward, although he went in a bit too deep, and for a moment it looked as though he was run out of space, and he just managed to get back in front of her. In the pits, the Liverpool car, and they're maybe going to try and fix the problem, but it sounds like a low air pressure, and that's in the gearbox drive system. On the left of the screen you can see the grid progression, and so FC Porto have moved up 1, Bordeaux have moved up 2, but Galatasaray moved up 4 places at the start there, so Tristan Gomendi had a great getaway.
Yeah, great start and a great overtaking maneuver on Atletico de Madrid. Craig Dolby is right behind Maria de Villota as well just now, as we are seeing, and he's going to try to make a move as early as possible. The earlier the better, because he can then continue his pursuit on the leaders.
Yeah, Craig Dolby has got into all the super finals this year. Remember, you get into a super final by scoring well in both races. Well, he needs to get really into the top 4 in this race to have enough points to make it into the super final today. And now he is shadowing Maria de Villota and looking for a way past that Atletico Madrid car. Tottenham still having 6 push-to-passes available.
As behind, we're seeing Flamengo and AC Milan. AC Milan was behind Flamengo, so he found his way past. AC Milan, Jan Berman has overtaken Frank Pereira, and now there's still a battle at the back, and now we're back with Craig Dolby, very close from Maria de Villota. Craig Dolby, who's saying hello, trying to make sure that she knows that he's behind her, so she sees him in his mirrors. Ooh, a bit of a curve on the inside there, but doesn't help the exit speed.
Now, can he do anything on the run down to the hairpin? It's not really close enough at this stage. He's going to have to think about his attack and find a way past. But there in 4th place is Sebastien Bourdais, and he's just set fastest lap, as you can see, 146.8, so he's closing onto the back of the Beijing car driven by John Martin. We saw Bourdais do an extra pit stop in race 1, looked as though he was sort of tweaking the car in preparation for this 2nd race, but for the moment he's not managed to break into the top 3. That's his target, to get past Beijing and then go chasing after both Bordeaux and race leader FC Porto, with Alvaro Parent controlling things up front.
Yeah, and in front of him, Beijing is also very fast. He's actually lapping 1/10 slower than Bourdais. So it's all very, very close. And still, Craig Dolby haven't overtaken Maria de Villota. He's very close. He's going to have to use a push to pass, otherwise he's not going to be able to make it. Maria, that we are seeing defending a little bit. Ooh, what a drift! Exiting the corner completely sideways all the way. Excellent. He's not yet using a push to pass. Come on, Craig. He has to use the push to pass early to overtake as early as possible.
Yeah, and he's not close enough, is he? He's good on the brakes. You can see how much he closes up under braking, but he simply wasn't close enough to go on the attack there. And Craig Dolby unable to find a way past, and he needs to get on with it. Meanwhile, as you mentioned, AC Milan have got past Flamengo a lap or so ago. Now trying to get past Olympiacos. Won't be easy to do that. Let's take a look back at that a moment ago with the battle between Atletico Madrid, Maria versus Craig Dolby as they came through that chicane. But there was no way on the exit of that one to get the run he needed. Back with the top four. There's the battle for third place. The green and white colours of Beijing. John Martin, for the moment, fending off former 4 times Champ Car champion Sébastien Bourdais. But Bourdais looking much more racy in this one, much more like the Sébastien Bourdais we have come to expect. Still got the pit stops to look forward to, but we're just about 6.5 minutes away from the pit lane window opening up. So some time here for the guys to really get into their rhythm and see what sort of lap times they can produce. Porto have now taken fastest lap, so the race leader, Alvaro Parent, just stretching only by 1/10 of a second his advantage over Frank Montagny in second. Oh, there's a very dejected James Walker.
Yeah, he was very competitive this weekend. He was up there in the qualifying rounds and in the final, but clearly not lucky, James Walker. We're back into the fight between Olympiacos and AC Milan. AC Milan pressurizing big time Olympiacos, and Flamengo is still there as well. Battle between 5 cars.
Yeah, Corinthians up there, AS Roma's at the front of the queue, and Julian Schuss is getting used to this, having his mirrors full with a queue of cars, because he managed to fend them all off in the battle for 5th place. We just saw James Walker looking very, very disappointed a moment ago. He's obviously out of this race, and we've got an opportunity to catch up with him. Abby's with him.
We've had a compressor failure, I think the air pressure.
Okay, we had a little bit of loss of sound there, but it did sound as though it was an air pressure problem, so that would have affected the gearbox. It's a pneumatic gear change system on these cars, and the loss of air pressure means you can't change gear, which makes life somewhat difficult. Now then, this is Sébastien Bourdais making a move, or trying to, on John Martin of Beijing. He got down the inside. Did he manage to hold it? Yes, I think he did. So he is now up into 3rd place.
Yeah, good move. John Martin did a clever thing. Look at it. Opened up the corner to make sure he had a way of crossing back, but Sébastien stopping the car as much as he could to turn it around and go back flat onto the throttle as early as possible to keep his position, which he managed to do.
So top 3 now for the Frenchman Sébastien Bourdais, chasing another Frenchman in Frank Montagny. Both are race winners already this season. Both are...
Oh, mistake from Bourdais. A little mistake from Bourdais.
Oh, and he could be under pressure from Beijing once again. And John Martin's going to try and take the place back. Bourdais got it back up to speed, but he's going to have to go very defensive here. He hovers on the inside of the track, forces Beijing to go wide. There's no space there, surely. And Sébastien Bourdais just gets away with it.
Ooh, he went sideways into the turn 11 just before the long straight, so he lost all his momentum. That's why John Martin was just right there trying to recover that place, but now Sébastien is gone. Oh, trying not to make a mistake, looking in his mirrors, as you can see in the straight, to try to see if he has to defend. He has to defend again. John Martin really putting the pressure. He's going to try to cut across. Look at that.
This is great stuff. Wheel-to-wheel action between Sébastien Bourdais and John Martin. Which way do you go next? John Martin, I'm sure, used the push to pass to try and get back at Bourdais there, and he almost had it, but Bourdais just managed to maintain enough speed and control into that first section. Having to use all his guile and skill there was Bourdais, pushed to the limit by John Martin. Wonderful racing, magnificent stuff again in Superleague Formula. And for the moment, the Frenchman it is, Sébastien Bourdais, who is in 3rd place. John Martin for Beijing in 4th. Galatasaray in a solid 5th. Atletico de Madrid, Maria still in 6th place ahead of Tottenham. And you know what? Tottenham's used another push to pass, trying to get past Maria, and he still hasn't found a way to do it.
That's amazing, because when he was behind and just catching her, he was lapping 1.5 seconds, more than 1.5 seconds, 1.7 seconds quicker than her, which means that that's probably what he's losing every lap now behind her, and he can't overtake her.
Right, let's try and hear once again from James Walker, who's talking to Abby.
Okay, James, you have just been improving, going
the system needs a certain amount of air pressure to work, and the pressure dropped too low, so there was no shift. We came in, tried something, went back out, but it still didn't work. So yes, it's very disappointing, but the guys are trying their hardest. It was a great race, won P6, but these things happen. But yeah.
Let's hope that England can cheer you up later on this afternoon.
I'm going to be in a hire car driving back, so I'm going to miss that as well. So.
Oh gosh, sorry, Joe.
Back with the action here. We've lost one Englishman from this race, but we still have one Englishman and one German competing in this Super League race. And at the moment, England have the upper hand in that particular battle because Tottenham's sitting 7th and Basel are sitting 11th. German driver, of course, on board the Swiss club's car. But we're riding with the Brazilian club Flamengo with a French driver on board, mixing up our nationalities, and Flamengo down in 16th place. He got passed by AC Milan a couple of laps ago, but that is at Milan just ahead, so he's not really dropped any further. And in fact, there might be some opportunities opening up here because they're all bunching up together.
Well, the thing is, they're all lapping extremely slowly into the 49s when the leaders are in the 47s, which is 2 seconds slower than the pace of the track at the moment, just because they're watching at each other, looking in the mirrors, defending, trying to attack, and so the lap time is just a disaster, and there's no way they're going to catch up with the leaders now.
So that's really costing them dear. The clock is ticking away. We've got a minute and a half before the pit lane window opens up, and we're going to see cars rushing into the pits for a change of tyres. Up front, remember, it's still FC Porto leading. 2.6 seconds the advantage for Alvaro Parent. Bordeaux in 2nd place, Lyon in 3rd, Beijing currently in 4th, Galatasaray 5th, Atletico Madrid 6th, then Tottenham, Seville, PSV and Sporting Lisbon rounding out the top 10, Basel in 11th, then we've got AS Roma in 12th, Corinthians in 13th. Preparations beginning to be made down there on pit wall as the teams discuss, will they be bringing their cars in at the earliest opportunity or not? Here we are back with Flamengo once again, part of this train towards the back end of the field, amongst them some of the fastest cars in the field, but they just can't show what they're capable of because they're in this train of cars. They're losing downforce through these medium and high-speed corners, and there's just no way of getting alongside. Big lock up there for Robbie Dornbos.
Cut across the chicane, didn't overtake anyone, so it's okay. Let's just hope that he hasn't flat-spotted his front left tyre and that he hasn't gained too much time, otherwise he's going to have to back off a bit.
Yeah, I think he's okay. Didn't gain any position through it. Didn't lose one either, but hopefully he might get away with that. Meanwhile, a little battle between Sporting Lisbon, the green colours, in 10th place, and Max Wissel right behind, who pulled off a couple of good manoeuvres in that first race of the day. Lock up in the background, and then, of course, because he'd come into the corner too quickly, he decided to straight line the chicane, bump over the grass. Thankfully, no damage done, I think, to the underneath.
No damage. It's pretty flat through there. Made to cross it, no problem.
Gets flat from so many cars doing it, probably, doesn't it? It does get used quite a lot. Now the pit window has opened up, as you can see, top left-hand corner of the screen. The 10 minutes begin to tick away. You only have a 10-minute window in which to make that pit stop. Now, some people will come in early, some will leave it a bit later. We saw some of the front runners come in on the earliest opportunity in race 1. Interestingly, the team that went on to win, AC Milan, came in on the 2nd lap that the pit window was open. And also interestingly, Bordeaux, currently sitting 2nd in this race, left it much longer than anyone else, but they had a clutch problem, and that might have been why they decided to leave it so long.
Yeah, probably, and the clutch problem was the end of their race 1 hopes, but that's why they're starting at the front now and that they're running in 2nd place. And now we're still having a look at the battle at the back. David Erigon, such a good racer, but in front of him he has all those good guys as well that have started at the back, and they're also competitive, that nothing's happening between them. They're just watching at each other to see who's going to make a mistake. This is FC Porto. Alvaro Parente, great leader, fastest lap of the race.
Interestingly, though, the pit stops are happening, and Bordeaux have come into the pits ahead of Lyon, also into the pits, Beijing. So the other leaders, interestingly, have come in, whereas Porto's decided to stay out there. Brand new set of tyres available for Frank Montagny. Which of them is going to be out ahead here? Montagny just getting out ahead of Sébastien Bourdais. John Martin joins in behind Bourdais, so no change there. And that was a good stop by Lyon, I think.
Yeah, good stop by Lyon, because I think that now Lyon is going to be in front, stays in front of John Martin, sorry. It's a good stop by Lyon because he made a bit of time on Bordeaux.
That's right, and they've had some poor stops, haven't they, Lyon, this year? But the practice is showing.
John Martin has a problem again.
Yeah, very slow. What would cause that, coming out of the pits?
I have no idea, and Corinthians the same, they have to start the car
Oh, that's a real shame. Max Wissel, meanwhile, he's trying to argue with Borja Garcia about who's going out first. He does slot into position. Now, I wonder if John Martin got going okay. There's no sign of him there at the exit of the pit, so hopefully, whatever happened, sometimes we did hear from Jelmer Berman that he hit the pit lane speed limit button by mistake coming out of the pits on the first race when he was trying to talk on the radio to his team. So it looked like something like that with John Martin because the car suddenly sort of halted, didn't it?
Yeah, the car wasn't moving fast. It was like just stopped at the end of the straight or not pushing, and he seemed to be going now well, and this is Maria de Villota
versus Craig Dolby. He's still not got past. Why is this?
I have no idea. I can't understand. He has used 3 pushes to pass to overtake her and still hasn't managed.
Well, I tell you what, she's driving well here. She's got this car working well. She's got into the rhythm. She did this at Manicourt too, didn't she? Where she's coming in the pits now. So this will give him a bit of clear air.
Yes.
But she did at Manicourt. She ran a good race in the second race. We thought she would drop right down the order. In fact, she finished in 6th and put in some decent lap times.
Yeah, when all the leaders of race 1 are at the back mixing with each other, it's an opportunity for her to have a good result, and she managed to. Gomendi, new tires. Oh, he's doing a good race and a very good pit stop.
Yeah, that looked good.
Yeah, straight, full on the throttle as he exited. Oh, there is a wheel of a jack that stand on the floor.
I noticed that. She looked as though she was running over something. Hopefully got away with that. Anderlecht in as well towards the back. There's David Rigon. Now, has he got a used set or a new? I think he's got a used set of tyres.
Yeah, used set, yeah. Flamengo at the same time as David Rigon, and they're both going again.
Much the same. No change there, really, was there?
No, Olympiacos slot in between.
Now, across the line, just seeing Beijing going through, Seville behind them. Beijing did lose out on that exit of the pits, I'm sure, but not as much as we feared, I think.
Well, apparently there will be some change because AC Milan is now... Okay, Olympiacos is in front of Corinthians, who have now slowed down, and Flamengo is in front of them as well.
Bit of slow motion action up through that chicane. This was Maria turning in ahead of Craig Dolby, who has stayed out there. Tottenham now in 4th place. Interestingly, the race leader...
Ooh, a big slide from Craig Dolby again.
That was good stuff, wasn't it? Interestingly, Porto has stayed out. Now, do you think this is going to work for Alvaro Parente? Bit of a risk. They've stayed out there for Porto. He's got clear air, of course, but he's just come in. The race leader has just come in. There it is, the blue and white car of Alvaro Parente. So is he going to be able to get back out ahead of Bordeaux and Lyon? Those were the cars that were close behind him before the pit stop. Old set of tyres. He doesn't have a new set to use, whereas Montagny did have a new set.
Yes, but brilliant start. Super fast start from SC Porto. Do not get confused. The car that we just saw past is Tottenham. They haven't done their pit stop.
That's AS Roma coming through, so he doesn't count either. The next car is Bordeaux, and he will come out ahead of Bordeaux, so that is okay for Alvaro Parente.
Yeah, looking at the lap times, he was going to stay in front, plus he had a great pit stop, so no doubt about that, he's in front. But now, old tires on the car. I think new tires for Montagny just here.
Yep.
So we'll see what happens.
Flamengo gets it going. I thought he'd already beat him.
No, it was Olympiacos. It's my mistake, sorry. It was Olympiacos. Flamengo, speed stop, nothing fantastic. Again, he's not very lucky with the speed of his pit stops, and the cars with who he was fighting are just here, and he rejoins exactly at the same place. Is he going to lose on Olympiacos?
It's going to be tight.
It's going to be very, very tight. Oh, great drive. He's just stopped and stopped him from crossing over. Good experience from Frank Pereira.
He really stopped the car at exactly the right spot there, and Olympiacos' Chris van der Drift had no chance of getting alongside. Right behind him is Corinthians. Robert Dornbos still stirring things up here, trying to find a way through. But remember, these guys are all quite a long way down the field, so plenty for them to try and achieve in the remainder of this race. Pit window closing in 3.5 minutes, and in fact most of the leaders have stopped, except, interestingly, for Tottenham. Craig Dolby has stayed out there, and AS Roma have not come in. So those are the only 2 clubs, as you can see from the graphic on the left. There's no P alongside their name. That means Tottenham and AS Roma have not yet been in, and you can see that Porto actually getting themselves caught up behind the AS Roma car, which now does head into the pit lane, clearing the air for Alvaro Parente. But look how close Montagny's got.
Fastest lap for Montagny, and he's catching big time. That's because he's on new tires. That's also because The car weight is going lighter and lighter as the fuel is going away. He's catching Alvaro Parente super fast now, so very interesting, but we don't know how old Alvaro Parente tires are. Maybe they're only 2 laps, so he could defend. It's going to be very interesting. AS Roma doing their pit stop.
Yep, another used set of tyres going on board for Julien Juste as he sets off once again, and we're still waiting for Craig Dolby to make his pit stop. Dolby has stayed out there. He's really going to the wire, a little bit like Frank Montagny did in the first race of the day before he makes his pit stop, just going through past us. Beijing in 8th place, Basel in 9th, Sporting Lisbon in 10th, Flamengo coming through in 13th. So AS Roma rejoining in 14th, or will it? Because Corinthians bearing down very quickly on the Frenchman. But I think he just had enough speed there to keep the Italian club ahead of the black and white car of Brazilians, Corinthians. And Beijing really got some pressure here from Max Wissel. And Wissel, as we've seen already today, very capable at overtaking on this Nurburgring circuit. But he's quite a long way down the order, down in 9th position at the moment.
Yeah, not a very good weekend for Beijing, who was competitive, went off in qualifying when he was on a hot lap, a quick lap actually, had to give up in race 1 because he had a nut which didn't attach the car very well to the wheel well to the car, and now he had another problem coming out of the pits as he was starting on pole and doing very well, running on the top spot again, or on the top 3. Hard weekend for Beijing, and at the back it's still fighting everywhere.
Yeah, that's a great shame because he was running up there, as you remember, 3rd for a while in this race, then 4th when Sébastien Bourdais. Here comes Tottenham then. Craig Dolby finally comes into the pits, and he's really left it a long time. He's got a used set of tyres. That's no surprise really, because he left it a long time. It was probably a good set of tyres that he was on there. Where is Dolby going to re-emerge? This is going to be a fascinating question. Will he score enough points in this race to make it through to the super final? How about his position relative to that of AC Milan, who are currently in 12th place? Maria de Vallota just going across the line. He could end up behind her again. Yes, he does. He's still going to be behind Maria de Vallota. Oh, after all that hard work, he finds himself rejoining in what will be 7th position.
Yep, hard to believe, but she does a very good job. She keeps it together, not a mistake, and Tottenham is struggling this weekend with their cars. Craig Dolby hasn't been happy at all with his car setup, and Davide Rigon tries to overtake AS Roma, and he does it.
Yeah, he's done it. He's gained that place, hasn't he? So a good passing manoeuvre from the Anderlecht racer there, who's got past AS Roma, but it's still all about 15th position. These guys still all fighting down towards the latter part of the midfield. And a bit of information coming on the radio.
Yeah, saying Maria is on new tyres and running P6. That's it. I think it was in Craig Dolby's helmet that it was sent, the information, maybe to keep up the frustration away. And
pit times there, 32.5 for Tottenham. Is one of the best stops actually. That was a really good stop by the crew, but he still ended up coming out behind Maria de Vallota. Not such a quick stop this time for Olympique Lyonnais, although they did hold their place. Beijing actually lost their time on the exit of the pits rather than on the pit stop itself. AC Milan had a pretty solid 33.6 second pit stop, so that's kept them up there. Porto still leading this race, remember though, and some other pit stop times just coming through, but nobody particularly quick in that group. So Porto lead the race, 1 second the advantage from Porto to Bordeaux. Then this battle that's going on for 3rd. We've got 2 Frenchmen, we've got 3 Frenchmen in the top 4 here, which is impressive stuff. But right now Tristan Gomedy is trying to get past Sébastien Bourdais.
Yep. Craig Dolby is still behind Maria de Vallota from Atlético de Madrid. Some fights at the back as well. Also, just one information, Frank Montagny's pit stop was very slow, 36, when Alvaro Parente was a 33 or a 32. He should have been in front if he had a good pit stop. That's it. Corinthians had a good pit stop, and they're here again, as we're having a slow motion of Frank Pereira, Flamengo.
Oh, and this was,
I know, yeah.
This was that going across, and apparently that's brought up a notice on our screen saying Robert Dornbos under investigation by the stewards. They're probably just determining whether he did gain any advantage from it.
He did score his best lap time at the time, but I don't think it was a real advantage, really. Okay, there's no wheel to put back on the car. What's going on?
Second stop for AS Roma. They've obviously got a problem, and
it's over.
It's not getting any better, is it? So that's really disappointing for Julien Jousse, who was the star of qualifying yesterday and also held a good 5th place in race 1, but unfortunately not in this one. The graphic on the left showing how people have either improved or lost position as we've gone through this race. Porto gaining 1 from their grid slot, Bordeaux gaining 2, but Atletico Madrid losing 2, and Beijing, of course, one of the big losers, started on pole position for this race and have dropped 7 as a result of some glitch that occurred on the exit of the pit lane.
Hold on, I think that I don't see Bourdais anymore. Bourdais is not there. It is Tristan Gomendy that is running in 3rd position. Where is Bourdais gone? Bourdais is back. He's still on track somewhere, and he's back into the pits. Sébastien Bourdais back into the pits.
Right, so problems for Sébastien Bourdais, things not going according to plan for him. The Tottenham car, meanwhile, is now up into 6th place as the timing resets itself now that everybody has made their pit stop. There you are, there is Sébastien Bourdais. Oh dear, things just are not going right for these guys, and you've got to feel for Olympique Lyonnais. Their campaign just has one problem after another. Last weekend, that second race, that incident with Maria de Vallota, now an unexplained problem when he looked as though he was going to be scoring a podium finish here today. But it has brought, as you say, Galatasaray up into 3rd place, and this could be best result of the season for Tristan Gomendy and for Galatasaray if they can hold on to it. Still some way to go. 16 and 3/4 minutes left of this second race of the day. A little battle going on here between Beijing in 8th, Sporting Lisbon in 9th place, and then behind them we've got PSV, the red and white colours, and AC Milan, winner of race 1, currently in 11th position. And Jelmer Berman wanting to make up some more points versus Tottenham, of course, and hoping to make it through to the super final, as Sébastien Bourdais has no chance of making it into the super final. Not here, not today, because he has failed to finish this second race of the day, and he had a poor finish in the first race. So John Martin, he has the job of trying to defend his position from the 3 cars behind him, whilst up front, Porto still in control of this race by not very much, just a second the advantage. There's Jelmer Berman seeing this big opportunity perhaps to score yet more points, but even where he is right now, there's a good chance for him getting into the super final and chasing the big prize money later on.
Yeah, I think that if it stayed like that, he would be in the super final.
We've got news from the pits. Abby has caught up with Sébastien Bourdais.
Seb, you were heading for a podium, but the dark season has continued.
Yeah, what can I say? The problem with the compressor on the gearbox. No pressure, so I can't change gears anymore. So it continues here.
Well, very disappointing. Same problem for James Walker as well. So both guys having a similar issue here in this race at the Nurburgring. Up front in the race, it's still Porto leading. AC Milan, the black and red car, again putting a little bit of pressure on the red car Takei and trying to find a way through. AC Milan still have 5 uses of their push to pass available, worth an extra 50 brake horsepower. Interestingly, on this circuit, Bruce, the push to pass doesn't have quite such an influential effect as we've seen on some of the other tracks we've been to.
Yeah, it's true. I've noticed that as well. There are 2 places to use it, and which is the straight in front of us and the back straight. But it doesn't do so much, actually. Even if you have the track which goes uphill at some point, it doesn't make such a big difference. And to overtake, it takes a lot of courage and dedication to dive inside and find the right spot.
Yeah, quite tight line into that one, but he was never going to find. Now look how close the leaders are now. What has happened to that 1.1 second gap that Porto had over Bordeaux a moment ago? Well, it's reduced considerably. That's what's happened. And Frank Montagny has definitely closed up to the back of Alvaro Parent. And as they come across the line, he's not in position to actually attack. Now, Bordeaux has 3 opportunities to use his push to pass still available, whereas Porto, the race leader, has 2. So advantage in that sense to the car in second place. And we know that he had new tyres, but that new tyre advantage has probably been nullified by now because they've done quite a few laps.
Yeah, it has faded away now. Oh!
PSV's off. Narenka Takayan. He will have lost that position that he was fighting for just a moment ago with AC Milan. And that's another few more points for Jelmer Berman.
Yep. And where he spun, he must have lost a lot of time because it's at the beginning of the straight, so the other ones just went away. Let's have a look at the replay. Oh, he made a mistake on his own, I'm sure. And the rain dives into up sideways, too fast in, way too fast in. That shows how little it takes to make a mistake, and he's been very lucky to be able to rejoin from there.
Yeah, deep into the gravel trap, but thankfully he found traction. Now here's an interesting one. England versus Germany on track on German soil. Max Wissel, the only German racer in this event, and he's up against the only remaining Englishman in the race. That is, of course, Craig Dolby. And don't forget that Dolby, championship leader, is probably, maybe, depending on what his team are telling him, aware that AC Milan are also moving up the order because they've just gained a position as a result of PSV's spin a moment. Basel really gaining all over the last couple of laps on Tottenham as PSV's car gets pushed back into the pit garage. But it's Max Wissel in the multicoloured machine who's flying here.
Yeah, sideways there. You don't want to be sideways there at more than 200 Ks up the hill, and you want to make a right, and you don't want the car to slide on that way, otherwise you end up in the grass like Sébastien Bourdais this morning. Very, very dangerous area to go off. It's really on the edge for all of them. Now down the hill, up the gears into sixth, nearly 280 kilometers per hour there.
These two teams, these two drivers have been two of the best of the whole season. You know what? These are the only two clubs that have made it into each and every super final that we've held this year because they've scored enough points from the first two races of the day. You don't have to win, but you have to score good points in both races. They both have a chance of getting into the super final here, but I tell you what, Craig Dolby's coming under more and more pressure from Max Wissel behind, and Max will be loving this, putting the pressure on the Englishman as Dolby wants to protect not only his position but also his advantage in the points over Jelmer Berman for AC Milan. Things are hotting up beautifully in the final 12 minutes.
I'm telling you, Craig Dolby is struggling with his car big time. We've seen him on the previous set of tires being sideways every time he touches the throttle. And again, here, he can't take the throttle. See how close Max Wissel gets on the exit of the corners, and we are seeing Craig Dolby's car being sideways at every exit of middle or slow speed corners. He really struggles with traction problems for some reason.
Yeah, he is. They've both won races this year. They both know what it takes to win races, but right now they're fighting just as hard to finish in 5th place in this race. This is what the closest battle in the race is. It's England versus Germany, Craig Dolby versus Max Wissel, and the two of them going at it hammer and tongs, and definitely Wissel seems to have the faster car at the moment. Again, he looks very good up out of the hairpin, great traction. He's keeping that pressure on. Up ahead of them, Maria de Velosas running in a superb 4th place. She's driven extremely well. She's put behind those bad memories of what happened to her in Jarama last week, and she's put in one of her best performances in Super League so far. But we're focusing on what Max Wissel's doing here. Lost maybe just a car length or so on the second part of this lap.
Yeah, probably lost a bit of time, and Craig Dolby still fighting his car. Look at it, back on the throttle. He's completely sideways again everywhere, especially in this last corner. Maybe this lap again we're gonna have a chance to look at it. Yeah, look at that. He puts the rubber right on the track. He leaves so much rubber every time he takes the throttle. It's amazing. Some big black marks, and he drifts the car out of the corner.
Down into turn 1 then, and Tottenham still holding that position for the moment. It always seems to be the battle for 5th that keeps us entertained. It was in the first race. There is Maria de Velosas. She is driving superbly here at the moment in 4th place. She is some 20 seconds behind 3rd place car of Galatasaray, but I tell you what, it only needs one of the leaders, Porto, Bordeaux or Galatasaray, to have a problem, and Maria would be heading for a podium finish here at the Nurburgring. Right now she's in 4th. There she is with a comfortable margin over the battle that's raging behind her between Tottenham and Basel. So she can ignore that. She can totally focus on looking ahead and focus on her own lap times. How she's looking lap time wise, Bruce?
Not bad, 47.2. Galatasaray in front is the quickest car on track at the moment, or one of the quickest in the 40, is the quickest in 45.4, which is super fast, actually nearly half a second quicker than, more than half a second quicker than the cars in front of them, than the leader. But Maria is doing well. It's a good lap time, and behind Dolby is actually slower than her.
So going down the pits, PSV, Narain Kartikeyan, we saw him into the pits briefly. He's now on his way once again as the leaders cross the line. Another lap completed, 20 laps completed by FC Porto, and Alvaro Parent has not been able to build a margin here. He's still under pressure from Frank Montagny. The gap 1.006 of a second as they came across the line, and it's not like the first race of the day where Jelmer Berman was able to gradually build up an advantage of over 6, in fact over 7 seconds at the end over Anderlecht. In this race, Parent has had constant pressure on him from Franck Montagny.
Yeah, and it's amazing to see those two drivers of a very high level lapping exactly within the same tenth of each other every lap. On the last occasion it was only 400ths different.
That is real quality from those two. You're absolutely right. Two drivers at the top of their game, and Parent will be delighted that he's got this car handling the way he wants it, because he was struggling with it yesterday. Meanwhile, behind him, Bordeaux qualified poorly, but once again looking better. Let's ride on board with Alvaro Parent.
Up the hill, not quite flat. Fifth, over the curb, sliding the car a little bit. Sixth. He says to him to use the push to pass maybe, and you can see how hard it is and not so grippy anymore to go around those corners, and you have to really be on the edge all the time and be cautious, drive carefully not to make a mistake. It's so easy. Checks in his mirrors, braking hard at 100 meters, stops the car very well over the first curb, over the second curb, slides when he tries to take the throttle, struggles with traction as well.
And look how close again Montagny is. As you say, it's like walking the tightrope, isn't it? You've got to keep the car on the road. This is the battle for the lead. Meanwhile, look at the super final points prediction at the bottom of the screen. Milan look to be going through to the super final. So did Galatasaray and Anderlecht, Olympiacos, Flamengo, and as it stands, Bordeaux will also go through, but not quite Basel and Tottenham. Basel and Tottenham, for the first time this season, are looking not to make it through to the super final, but any problem to the cars that are ahead of them, including this one, Bordeaux, chasing after the race leader, well then that might bring Basel and Tottenham back into the reckoning for the super final. So it's incredibly close to see which are...
Okay, Franck Montagny is asking how many push to pass have I got left and how many push to pass has he got left, and they've both got one to go. So he's planning to make a maneuver. He's trying to...
More radio communication.
He says, okay, that's wrong. He just sent him a wrong information. He said, you have to win. He says, what is the number of pushes to pass of Parente? What's the number of push to pass? Give me the information. One push to pass, one push to pass. There you go. He has the information.
So now he knows. But where is he going to do it?
I don't know. He's probably gonna. He's gonna get. He has to get closer than that to use the push to pass. He's still asking. He's not getting the information, and he had wrong information. The team manager or his engineer told him, you have to win to go to the final. You have to win to go to the final, which is wrong.
Yeah, because looking at our prediction, he will make it through to the super final. The same as you, he's telling him, isn't he?
Yes, the same as you. One push to pass, just one.
So they are matched in push to pass, and Bordeaux still on the attack here, trying to win this race. But Alvaro Parent got control, and that's the way he intends to keep it. So interesting that misinformation was given, though, because our predictor telling us that Bordeaux will just make it into the super final. The team, on their calculations, thinking that Montagny's got to get in front here to get into the super final. And when you've got 100,000 euros on offer for the win in the super final, you can bet they're going to try very hard. Now, meanwhile, look, Basel have got past Tottenham. Germany 1, England 0 at the moment, because Germany's driver Max Wissel has got past Craig Dolby. Let's see what happened here, Bruce, and find out how he did it.
I can't believe he did it into the last corner. That's amazing, braking super late into the last corner, Max Wissel, even making the apex. That's how much more grippy his car is compared to Tottenham's one. Craig Dolby not even defending. He was not even expecting the maneuver there.
Now, that might be enough for Basel to get into the super final now, because they've gained that place. That might actually be a problem for Bordeaux. Suddenly, the super final prediction changes because of the place gain. Problems for Beijing, though. He's come back into the pits. And what a horrible weekend for them. Now, meanwhile, let's think about the championship, because Tottenham have now dropped to 6th place and AC Milan are in 8th place. So Tottenham still due to score a few more points than AC Milan and to open up their advantage. Remember, Tottenham had a 28-point lead coming into this race. AC Milan in the middle of that particular group there. They've got Sporting Lisbon just ahead of them. But if AC Milan can gain another place here, then they will come away from Nurburgring, I'm sure, very, very happy with the work that they've done to close what started out this weekend as a 60-point gap between AC Milan and Tottenham. So a lot of work still to be done here. Craig Dolby has got to keep his nerve. He cannot afford to throw the car off the road. If he did that, then AC Milan would have a feast of points and really close the gap up.
Yep, no, it's all a mind game, and you have to be careful and think about the championship as well. In front of AC Milan, it's Borja Garcia with the Sporting de Lisbon, sporting the Portugal car, followed by Flamengo and Corinthians, Robert Dombos. And AC Milan must be looking, checking in his mirrors, making sure that Flamengo is not going to do a mistake. But Flamengo goes into the final as well, so he doesn't want to crash it either.
No, that's right. But it's all going to be pretty close. Those last couple of slots in the final, the super final, I think they're going to be determined pretty much on the last lap of this race. Out gets John Martin after winning at Jarama. What a miserable, miserable weekend it has proven to be here at the Nurburgring. He's just going to forget his race in Germany and move on to Zolder in a few weeks' time in Belgium and hope that things take a slight turn for the better. Meanwhile, race leader Alvaro Parent has opened up just a little bit of an edge more over Frank Montagny. Montagny not close enough to challenge, and not far behind them is the Galatasaray car, which has been lapping quite quickly over the last few laps again. And Tristan Gomendy, the quiet man, if you like, of this race, because we haven't really seen a lot of him, but another of the 5 Frenchmen who are competing in Super League, Tristan Gomendy, there he is in 3rd place, driving for the Turkish club Galatasaray and doing a splendid job. This will be his first podium of the season if he can hang on to it.
Yeah, he was competitive last week already in Jarama. He was just very unlucky not to be able to put everything together and was stuck in some crash and couldn't do much. But in front, so fantastic race from Galatasaray, Tristan Gomendy for sure. Just now, FC Porto leading Girondin with Franck Montagny second. 1 minute and a half to go. He's not close enough to overtake, and he has one push to pass to use. He has to use it now as we're in on board with Jelmer Berman. Borja Garcia defending on the inside. Jelmer Berman, braking extremely late.
Oh, and they almost touch. He just backed out of it in time. He's got to be careful because behind, he could come under attack himself, couldn't he?
Yes, Flamengo maybe on the inside. No, Borja Garcia, lots of experience, defending very well. And Flamengo is on the horn going, come on, overtake him. But they're going into the final, so they cannot make a mistake. They can't afford to lose so much money in the final.
No, that's right. They need to be in that super final if possible. And once again, AC Milan looking for a way past. Corinthians joining the back of the queue, running deep into turn 1. And Borja Garcia, he's fighting hard to maintain this position. Currently 7th, the green car of Garcia, Sporting Lisbon. AC Milan in 8th place, Flamengo in 9th, Corinthians obviously in 10th place. Bit of a gap back then to 11th place car, which is still that of Olympiacos. Anderlecht in 12th, Seville in 13th place. AS Roma still running after their problems earlier, but down in 14th place. And then our retirement of Beijing. PSV still running, and further out, of course, Lyon and Liverpool we lost very early on. But the race leaders are coming around the last sector of what is going to be the final lap as the clock ticks away. Alvaro Parent has driven brilliantly here today. He's come under remorseless pressure from Frank Montagny of Bordeaux. But as the checkered flag comes out, it is victory for FC Porto, for Alvaro Parent. He becomes the 9th different winner this season.
Amazing, and just on time, just crossing the line as the clock was ticking and finishing the countdown within a second, so perfect timing. Very good race from Porto.
So Montagny second, Gomendy third, and here's the best result of the Super League career so far for Maria de Vallota. She's not quite on the podium. He is going to finish in 4th place. Basel take 5th. Now that was a good drive by Max Wissel, a superb run by him. Who's it going to be in 6th? It should be Tottenham. Yes, Tottenham crossing the line in 6th. And here's that scrap for 7th. It is Sporting Lisbon ahead of AC Milan, Flamengo and Corinthians. That's the way they cross the line. Corinthians completing the top 10. Olympiacos finish in 11th place. But, well, an intriguing race, that one. AC Milan coming from the back and managing to finish in 8th place. Tottenham, though, finishing in 6th place, and by doing so, just opening up that lead in the championship fractionally. The difference between finishing in 6th is 29 points, the 8th is 23 points, so another 6 points gained effectively by Tottenham over AC Milan. So from 28 points going into that race, they've extended it again to 34 points. So a damage limitation exercise for Craig Dolby, whereas for Alvaro Parent, That's the result we saw from him last year when he joined Super League at Estoril, and now he's repeated that with a victory here at the Nurburgring after what has been a tough season for him.
Yes, victory in the second race. You've got a bit of an advantage from a bad result from the first race. You start at the front, but you still have to keep it together, and he did.
The result of the second race, Porto taking their first win of the year ahead of Bordeaux, and a strong run from Galatasaray take their first podium finish of 2010. Atletico Madrid, Maria de Vallota, her best ever result in Superleague Formula ahead of FC Basel. Tottenham in 6th place, Sporting Lisbon in 7th, and AC Milan, earlier race winners, finishing 8th. Flamengo finished 9th, and Corinthians were 10th. 11th place went to Olympiacos. Anderlecht, Seville and Roma were behind. Beijing failed to finish. PSV down the order, and Lyon and Liverpool, of course, also failing to make it to the end of the race. But as the cars head back in towards the pit lane, it's delight for Alvaro Perret. He told us that he wrapped up the British Formula 3 title here at the Nurburgring. He won the World Series by Renault title here at the Nurburgring. Well, he's not won the championship here today, but he has just won a race, and hopefully that should be enough to see him go through into the super final. We'll have to check that because he didn't score any points in race 1, but of course he has just scored 50 points from race 2, and that makes up for some of the disappointment that he had experienced in the earlier part of the weekend. Very nice, easy guy, Alvaro Perret, and a hard racer when it comes to it. Tristan Gomedy, good result. 2 Frenchmen on the podium in this race. So once again, lifting that French sporting honour after the damage that's been done to it this week in the football.
Yes, I agree. You like to notice that? Yeah,
I'm not making a big thing of it.
No, we've been terrible. I agree with you. More than that, more than terrible actually, and real shame for France. Anyways, good job from Tristan Gomedy. He must be pleased with that because he knew he was there. He could do it, and finally it came together, which is good. It's well deserved, and we've got 2 French drivers up there, which is a good thing, which is normal, I should say.
It is. Well, the French have certainly beaten the English and the Germans on this occasion, but all of them were beaten by Portugal. The Portuguese driver, Alvaro Perret, who lives and was brought up in Porto, has been a lifelong FC Porto fan. It's lovely that he now has the opportunity to drive for the famous football club, and he's come through to take victory here today. He did take a win last year with the club when he drove for just a one-off outing at Estoril. Funnily enough, Tristan Gomedy was driving that race. But let's get down to the pits for the interview.
Alvaro, congratulations. I'm so glad to finally talk to you here at Parc Fermé.
Thank you, yeah, good job. We did a good pit stop. Due to the first race, we started on the front and then just maintained.
But you turned it around after a disastrous qualifying, so do you feel like you've finally got a handle of the car?
We'll see. We improved today, the second race, so we'll look forward for the next one.
And you held off a massive amount of pressure from the very experienced Montagny as well.
Yeah, no, that was good.
Well done. Thank you. And Frank Montagny is coming right behind you. A little bit of sportsmanship. We chat again, so well done, Frank.
Thank you.
So it's obviously looking a little bit better. Harama now here. Are you feeling more confident? Are you happier with the car?
Yeah, on the second race I'm happy, but
just getting the first race right.
Yeah, just getting the qualifying right. So far it's quite hard, but I quite had fun with during the race. Well, I pushed 100% all the time. I thought he's going to make a mistake, he's going to do something, but I know he was 100% too, but it was just on the target all the time, and couldn't do anything.
Do you know there was a problem with your radio communication because we think that you were going to make it through to the super final anyway, even coming second?
No, they told me at the end, but really at the end that, dude, you have to win. But it was really late. I had like 7 laps to go, so it was hard.
And another French winner. This is turning around after the disastrous French display on the field, on the pitch. It's been a nightmare, but on the track today in Nurburgring, it's been great. Well done, Tristan. Your best result so far.
Yeah, sure. We did a pretty good job because we improved the car between the first and the second race, and the balance of the car was pretty good. So we were quite the fastest on the track at the end of the race. So I hope for the third race it's going to be good.
It's a huge boost, though, for your team because obviously Barazzi Epsilon look after you and Frank, so morale should be high.
Yeah, sure. It's really nice for the team because the team is working hard since the beginning without results. So it's really, really nice for the team and for us too because we are pushing since the beginning but without results. So it's a nice start, and I think the second half half of the season it's going to be better, massively better.
Well, well deserved. Well done.
So good results for some of the French drivers here after disappointment for some of the others. So looking at the points scored from the two races, AC Milan has scored the most points today, certainly through to the super final. Galatasaray also through. Tristan Gomedy will be happy about that. Anderlecht are through on 59 points, Olympiacos on 56, and then the last two to make it through, Flamengo on 56, and Basel did enough by getting past Tottenham to get that final spot in the super final. So that was crucial, and Max Wissel fully deserving his opportunity to get into the super final. So a brilliant job there by all those guys to score well. So it's time for the presentation to get underway. Alvaro Parent on the left as we look at it there, Frank Montagny in the middle, and Tristan Gomedy on the right, looking somewhat thoughtful, as I wonder if he's been told you are in the super final, so we're going to have to get you ready in a moment. But we shall wait and see. Tristan comes up to receive the trophy for third position. As we mentioned, his first podium of the year. He is a race winner, though, in each of the previous two seasons of Super League, both in 2008 and 2009, so maybe he's still going to get that victory this year. Frank Montagny, a winner last time out at Jarama, and a strong second place there. But Alvaro Parent, he's a winner of 2009. He's now a winner also in 2010.
Yeah, great job for all of them, and they have to have a quick drink and get ready for the next one.
Yeah, that's right. Not much time to rest. Opportunity to take the pictures, and let's take a look at some of the highlights from race 2. Well, James Walker was out of the race before it got underway, pulling off as the race got started. Up front, it was a good battle as Porto took the initial advantage. It was an advantage they were to maintain throughout the rest of the race. Beijing battled hard with first Montagny and then with Bourdais. Sebastian moved into third position. John Martin wasn't about to give up the place that easily, fought hard to try and claim it back, but it wasn't to be. A little lock-up for Robert Dornbos in the Corinthians car, or in taking a shortcut across the chicane, but no advantage gained. Tottenham left it later than anybody to make their pit stop, and this spin for PSV moved AC Milan a little further up the order. Porto come under some pressure from Frank Montagny of Bordeaux in the latter stages, but a great move by Max Wissel to get past Craig Dolby means that the Swiss club has got into the super final. Alvaro Parent soaked up the pressure and delivered victory to become winner number 9 of 2010, but the French drivers performed well on this occasion. And now we build up towards the extra time super final. Only the top 6 from the two races added together on points go into this one, and they're chasing €100,000. It's Jelmer Berman for AC Milan on pole position, with Galatasaray's Tristan Gomedy joining him on the front row. David Arrigon of Anderlecht will be on the second row, with Chris van der Drift of Olympiacos, who's making it a regular factor of getting into the super final. Then it's Frank Pereira of Flamengo, and finally Max Wissel, who's scraped in to the super final thanks to that move on Craig Dolby. So pole position goes to Jelmer Berman for AC Milan. Obviously, it's got to be the advantage. But Tristan Gomedy on that front row, he's got to fancy his chances, and they are, after all, chasing €100,000.
Yeah, they are. And looking at his performance in the last race, he must be pumped up, and I'm sure he's going to try to outbrake Jelmer into the first corner. Standing start, everything can happen with a standing start. They both have experience. We're going to see what happens.
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating. Of course, it all went wrong in the first corner last time at Jarama, didn't it? Because Craig had those braking issues and 3 cars ended up into the gravel trap, so anything can happen. Now, so far, we've had 2 clean starts at that first corner. What chances we're going to get a clean one this time?
Yeah, I think standing start with those cold tires, I don't know, it's never the same in this super final. There's always a bit of a mess somehow, people locking up wheels and overshooting themselves. It's always great to see that race. We're going to have that again this afternoon. I just can't wait.
Now, Maria de Velotto's had her best ever result, and Abby is with her.
Okay, Maria, what a race. Your best result of the season. Well done.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, P4 is really good, and after everything what happened, you know, it's really tough to be there. And yeah, I'm really enjoying it. And I have to give thank you to Kyle, my engineer, and also to Angel Burqueño, because they both have been working really hard with me. It's easy to believe in someone that is already fast, but to believe in a woman that is getting there by step, you know, is not that easy. And I just want to give thank you to them because they're awesome. They're great.
I commend your attitude and your determination. You haven't let any of the incidents so far this season put you off. Well-deserved 4th place.
Okay, thank you. Thank you to all my sponsors. We are trying hard, and I hope to have a podium in the end of the season. We'll go for it.
So as Abby finishes the interview with Maria, the car's already exiting the pit lane here. There is Galatasaray's Tristan Gomedy. He's going to be starting on the front row of the grid, remember, alongside Jelmer Berman for AC Milan. Now, remember, the history of the season so far tends to indicate that if you won the first race of the day, and particularly if you end up on the front row for the super final, as Jelmer Berman has, then you've got a good chance of taking 2 wins out of the 3 races. But that didn't happen last time out in Jarama. It was Olympiacos who came through all the mayhem of the first corner to claim victory. So, as we've already said, anything can happen here. And Olympiacos are on this grid, as you can see. They're starting 4th with Davide Rigon on that 2nd row as well. And then that 3rd row of Frank Pereira of Flamengo and Max Wissel of FC Basel. So now FC Basel become the only club to have made it into every single super final this year. There are 6 points on offer for the win here. Now this is a chance for AC Milan to just narrow that gap a little bit more to Tottenham.
Yeah, exactly, and get back those 6 points that Tottenham just made in that last race. We had a long shot on Tristan Gomedy, and I was thinking Tristan would look good with a €100,000 check. He would be pretty happy. But they would all be, so would be Flamengo, and so would be Davide Rigon, who already had one. On the radio, a bit of a communication in AC Milan, between AC Milan and the stands. Not quite sure what they were saying.
Of course, by this stage of the weekend, Bruce, these cars have done a lot of work. I mean, race 1, the cars have a bit of time, the engineers have a bit of time to look over the cars to check if there are any problems. Right now, they've had to go straight back out there. Hopefully none of the cars have got a problem, but they have been working hard.
Yes, they have, and I was just wondering if he didn't have a problem. The brakes don't have much time to cool down as well.
Yep. I think they're talking about also, are they talking about the lineup on the grid, or?
Yeah, line 1, I heard, I'm not quite sure, but they're very slow, those 2 cars, to rejoin the grid, to make sure that they're not going to stay too much, or too long, sorry, on the grid with the engine temperature going up. And it's a bit of a strategy. Look at that at the back, Max Wissel being super slow. That's a strategy.
Yeah.
The latest you get on the track, on the grid, sorry, the less time you're going to stand there, and the less time the tire will have to cool down, and the hotter they will get into the first corner. They will be into the first corner. So those 2 guys there will have cooler tire or colder tire than the others, and that's a bit of a tricky thing that the guys at the back are doing just now.
So they will line up on their grid spot, which is a tricky one in a way, because they've got to see it without being shown where the grid slot is. And as soon as all the cars are in place, then this race gets underway. There is no hanging around. This is fast and furious action as we prepare for the super final. The pole man is about to move into position for AC Milan. He moves on to his pole spot. We're waiting for Galatasaray to do likewise into that 2nd position. He's slightly at an angle, but here we go. And the super final gets underway at the Nurburgring. And it's a great start from Olympiacos. Chris van der Drift has made a breathtaking getaway. And he shoots in front. And Flamengo hasn't got off the line. And to the first corner. Olympiacos trying to fend off Anderlecht. AC Milan might lose 3rd. Galatasaray trying to get around the outside. Could end up on the grass. What a getaway that was by Chris van der Drift. We're on board with Tristan Gomedy as he puts the pressure on AC Milan. AC Milan in 3rd place, but it's Chris van der Drift looking for 2 super final victories in 1 week. $200,000 could go the way of Chris van der Drift, but we've got 4.5 laps to go.
And Flamengo is being pushed on the side. Terrible for Frank Pereira, who had a good weekend and for the first time managing to get entry into the super final. He's out, and AC Milan is defending on Tristan Gomedy. The standing start was so fast, I didn't even see what was happening. Tristan Gomedy had hardly stopped his car that the start was gone already. Amazing.
Yeah, a very, very rapid start. and it certainly may have caught one or two of them out. Galatasaray, here you are with Tristan Gomedy. He was at that slight angle, which was difficult for him not to be, because he had to find his slot on the grid, and he's lost out big time as a result. And it was a breathtaking start. I looked out from the commentary box window, and I just saw this flash of red and white surging past the front row cars. He dropped the clutch beautifully, did Chris van der Drift, and he's got the lead of this one. I tell you what, it's going to be tough to beat him now, and it could well be that he takes 2 super final victories on the bounce on board with FC Basel here. And can Max Wissel do anything to claim a place or two? Look at the gap already that Olympiacos has gained over Anderlecht. 3rd place AC Milan, 4th for Galatasaray, 5th and last for FC Basel, for Max Wissel, because of course we lost the 6th, another car which has now been pushed in the pit lane. That's Flamengo. Cross the line they go, 1 lap completed, and the advantage is in favour of Olympiacos from Anderlecht and AC Milan. So AC Milan not only going to miss out on some of the prize money, but also losing out on a chance to score the maximum points. Looks as though they're going to be heading for 4. This is the start. Have a look at it.
Yeah, Tristan Gomedy's car is hardly in line as well. So when he started, he just was sideways already as Olympiacos went boom.
Straight
fired
through the middle. Fantastic. Really like an arrow out of the bow. There went Chris van der Drift, and he had a bit of pressure on him from Anderlecht, but he dealt with that beautifully.
Yes, he pushed him right to the outside, defending very well, and kept the lead.
So the race still underway, and Olympiacos with the advantage. Can he hold on? There's only a short race, of course, this super final. You have to say he's looking extremely comfortable. His gap was 2 seconds at the end of lap 1, and I think he's actually made it more than that as we continue round on this 2nd lap. Riding on board with him, there is poor Frank Pereira, as you say, got into the super final at last, but then it all went wrong at the start. The clutches, of course, are hot, the engines have been working hard. There's a million things that could have gone wrong sitting on the grid.
Yeah, exactly. That's why they usually make a super fast start. It's for the cars not to stay too long and not to have to create any damage from the heat. But there you go. It was the end for Frank Pereira as the leader is stretching his gap, his leading gap.
Yeah.
Time, but David Erigon, as we've seen this morning, is never giving up.
No, he is a fighter, isn't he, David Erigon? He just always pushes, always charges. Had a great 2nd place in race 1 here today. Fought for a while to try and get past AC Milan. In the end, he just didn't have the pace. But as they come across the line once again, a fastest lap there by the race leader, 1:45.9, and his gap up to 2.6 seconds. And no one really looking to be in a threatening position. There's no push to pass available in the super final, so it's just down to plain straightforward tactics of trying to pass another car, and there's no extra horsepower that might be available. Interestingly, there's a note on our timing screens that car 4, that car there, of Tristan Gomedy, under investigation by stewards, probably because his car was slightly out of line at the start, but I don't quite know what he could have done about it.
He couldn't have done anything because the car is so long and so wide that he didn't have enough of an angle to actually park it. You don't have a reverse, and you can't reverse back and put for 1st gear again and put it straight. So no, there's nothing he could have done about that.
No, and that's a tricky one for Tristan Gomedy, and it's cost him a bit of ground as well, because he's down in 4th place, having started up on what should have been the front row. He was on the front row, even if he was at a slight angle, but it was a great start by this guy, Chris van der Drift, the New Zealander of Dutch grandparents, so he carries a dual nationality, but started off his racing career in New Zealand and came over to Europe pretty early on in his career, raced in the Formula Renault Euro Cup and then Formula Masters as well. He was the Formula Masters champion, and in fact we're gathering that the reason that Galatasaray are under investigation is not to do with how they lined up at the start. It is to the fact that they may have left the pit lane a bit late, because it's such a tight timetable to get the cars out for the super final. It may be that Galatasaray actually left the pit lane after the pit lane was officially closed.
He joined on the track last, that's true, but well, it didn't help him.
No, that's right, it didn't help him, but I guess if the rules are rules, and if you don't make it out in time, you know, you will pay a penalty for that. So it won't make a huge difference to him anyway. He's running in 4th position currently. The big prize money is certainly on offer for the top 3 in the super final. The winner takes €100,000, 2nd is €75,000, 3rd is €50,000. The other 3 finishers do pick up prize money, which totals around €50,000, but it's not the same level as the guys up front. and Olympiacos, the team that is definitely heading towards another of those 100,000 euro checks. Well, what an amazing week, or 8 days it might prove to be for young Chris van der Drift. I was telling you how he came over to race in Europe. He's been fast in everything that he's contested in European racing, and he's taken to this big car extremely well, hasn't he, Bruce? Because he is a leading rookie in this series this year.
Yeah, no, he's been doing very well, and he won at Assen already, outright victory. So no, he's been doing very well. We know that he has a lot of experience from international racing. He did a very high-level Euro Cup Formula Renault a while ago and was a front runner in there. So when you do well in those series, you're already a top driver, and he's proving that he's part of the good drivers in that series by doing extremely well and taking big checks.
Yes, indeed. Well, when he comes around this next time, he'll be going on to his last lap of this super final. It's short, sharp, furious racing in the super final with that big prize money on offer. Anderlecht looking at a decent purse as well for Davide Rigon, and some very useful points, of course, as they continue to challenge in the outright championship. And definitely don't discount Davide Rigon, winner of the title when driving for Beijing in the first season. But we're on the last lap, and here's a man who might make a move. It's Galatasaray trying to get past AC Milan. Yilma Berman's having to go defensive, middle of the road into turn one, and there's no space there for Tristan Gomedy to take advantage. No push to pass. This is going to be difficult for him to overtake.
Yeah, it's going to be very hard. He was quite close, and I would have thought that he would have tried to dive in a bit crazily, kind of, to try to go for it. But obviously, if you create damage to the car, you have to pay for that. So if the check is not big enough, you're not even covering the cost for the crash. But you need to push very hard, and I don't know if he's going to be close enough to try to make a move in the last chicane. Probably not, but let's hope he can carry on pushing.
Yeah, give us a little bit of a race right to the end, to the checkered flag, because right up front, I tell you, there is no doubt. All it takes now is a mechanical problem. That's the only thing that could prevent Chris van der Drift heading towards another of those 100,000 euro checks. And I'm sure he's thinking about it already as he comes through that little sequence out onto the backstretch, through the flat-out right hand of the cars, running well for the moment. Heads up the slight incline towards the final chicane. Engine sounds very good, sounds strong. That V12 motor still delivering the horsepower, and Chris van der Drift now just has the final corner to go. AC Milan won their third race of the season earlier on today, if you include super finals. Well, by that score, here comes Chris van der Drift to take his third win of the season. It's back-to-back super final wins. He takes the 100,000 euros for the second time in 8 days. What a performance. Anderlecht come home in second place. Third goes to AC Milan. And Chris is already on the radio.
Yeah, you can imagine. Yeah, beer time tonight.
They're buying the rounds, that's for sure. And Chris van der Drift has done it. Well, that is absolutely brilliant stuff from him. And he is the first driver, I think, to take 2 super final wins this year. They've been reasonably spread amongst the different teams so far this year. But to do it 1 week after he'd done it in Jarama, that is truly remarkable. And it was all down to the start. He's got the knack of getting these things off the line, hasn't he?
Yeah, very good standing start, and that's all you need, a good standing start. And you create a bit of a gap, and then you control. But he didn't only control, he pulled away. He did a very good job. And not only Olympiacos is happy, but the entire team, because Basil is his teammate, and that's the team owner there. 2 cars in the super final, 2 checks, not only the big one, obviously another one there.
Let's take another look at this start. He lights it up, gets a touch of wheel spin, and then it's like a drag car.
Yeah, fantastic standing start. He really got the technique to fire the car off the line. Great job.
They get so little practice at that because, of course, the other races are all rolling starts, so their focus really on the weekend tends to be on the rolling start. But he, as you say, he seems to have just got the technique off to a T with that one anyway. Whether he could do it again quite as well if you asked him to, but that was a brilliant getaway.
Yeah, it's never easy when you've got a clutch that it's a little bit tired after 2 long races, when you've got 750 brake horsepower. To get it right, it's not easy, believe me. When I was doing the testing, they asked me to do some burns sometimes to see how good could be the clutch, and you can have wheel spin up to 4th gear, easy, still being sideways.
Wow, that just shows you. So the result of the Super Final has meant that this has happened to the championship standings. There is a 30-point gap. So AC Milan has halved the advantage that Tottenham came into the Nurburgring with, but Tottenham have defended and maintained their lead. FC Basel are there in 3rd place, only 2 points ahead of Anderlecht. Olympiacos are still in that hunt, so the top 5 teams are still in with a shout, I would say. Flamengo in 6th place, then AS Roma. Outside that top 10, clubs like Corinthian still with more to do. And of course, the big surprise, Olympique Lyonnais, Sebastien Bourdais' team, last but one. But there we are, there he is, he's done it again. Chris van der Drift, top of the world after winning the €100,000 prize for the 2nd week in a row. And the team, as you say, with FC Basel also in that Super Final, it's been a real day to celebrate here for them. And going deep into the night, I would imagine. There, the checkered flag being handed over to Chris van der Drift, and he's becoming a new star of Superleague Formula. And we're going to see him, I think, challenging some of the other guys in terms of championship. This man in particular, David Rigon, for Anderlecht, might not have got the victory that time, but a solid 2nd place, useful points, and some very useful prize money as well has gone to him. And they'll be heading off to the Super Final podium in just a sec. And after the busyness of the last couple of weeks, Harama 1 week and Nurburgring the next, well, at least they can draw breath a little bit now, Bruce, because we've got a 3-week gap until that next race at Zolder in Belgium.
Yeah, it was very tight for the drivers, but for the teams as well to rebuild the cars. It was super, super tight, and they did a great job. They hardly slept over a week. They had to travel from Spain to Germany and make sure that the cars were ready. So yeah, now 3 weeks break and very happy father.
Yeah, oh, that's lovely. It really is. So good to see the performance delivered by Chris van der Drift. And look who's there to talk to him. Abby is right with him.
Chris, let's get this right. 200,000 in 2 weekends. That is a good carrot that's dangled in front of you, isn't it?
I can't believe it, to be honest. Yeah, wow. More, and it's not the only one. It's great for everybody, and again, like, a fantastic start. Straight away off the line, bang, and there we are first in the first corner, so away we go. Anderlecht was quite quick into the first turn, but now from there just pulled away and just cruised home, really. And
But you're really making an impression on this championship, but particularly in the Super Finals. Other people are struggling on their standing starts. It doesn't seem to be a problem with you.
I love it. We should have it all the time, actually.
And that money as well, eh?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, 3 races, 100 grand each, yeah.
Well, you're being really consistent. Let's see what you can go on to do in the second half of this series. Well done.
Thank you.
And Yalma here as well. Now, Yalma, great 3rd place. Overall, it's a great weekend, but more importantly, those points you've just scraped back from Craig Dolby, haven't you?
Yeah, no, it's been a good weekend, good qualifying. It's a bit unfortunate, just missed out on the in the quarterfinal, semi-final. But no, first race was great. Second race was quite good. Just didn't manage to overtake my teammate. But before the second race, more importantly, the guys really worked hard. My team and some other mechanics of another car helped as well, because they had to change the clutch. The clutch was a bit slipping, and just to be sure, but they changed it. So they did a great job, really good, and eventually not too bad 3rd race.
What do you think you have to do in the championship to get right to the very top?
I don't know. I mean, it's been a good weekend. We took some points out of him, and we just got to see what happens in the next few rounds. So.
Well done. Thank you very much. And second there in Super Final, Davide, we speak again. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you. It was a fantastic start. It was quite strange because in the briefing was said in the start that we will be the green light, and then but it was just red and off. So it was quite hesitation for everybody, but we had a good start. And nothing. Then my team told me Olympiacos had a new tire, so I was in the limit. But it was not possible. We did the best as we can. So fantastic race. I'm very happy. I say thank you to my team. It worked very, very nice, very well. And thank you to all my sponsors.
Davide, what do you think it means to the championship? Because you are still one to watch, aren't you?
Yeah, for sure. We want to think about the championship. Now we go to Zolder. I like Zolder, so we are improving with the car. I'm happy. We can fight for the championship here we will decide in the end of the season in Navarra maybe. So.
Okay, well before that, go and enjoy this podium. Well done.
So thank you. Bye bye.
The super final saw problems for Frank Pereira trying to get off the line for Flamengo, but it also saw a brilliant start from the second row for Chris van der Drift in the red and white colours of Olympiacos. Anderlecht tried to challenge into the first corner, but Davide Rigon couldn't quite manage it. Another look at the start from onboard Olympiacos and see how he just scythes past both front row men. AC Milan and Galatasaray had no answer for Olympiacos, and Chris van der Drift was soon able to open up the advantage over Anderlecht in second place. 100,000 euros went to Chris van der Drift for the second time in a week. He won the super final at Jarama. He's done it again here at the Nurburgring. 200,000 euros for just over 1 week's work. Not bad if you can get work like that. So a real special moment there for Chris van der Drift as he enjoyed the victory in the super final. And well, he's getting used to that feeling, isn't he? Because he's also taken victory in one of the main races this year. In terms of that result, you can see he had a fairly comfortable victory by just under 6 seconds from Anderlecht. That's pretty impressive in just 5 laps. As we heard, he had a good set of tyres to use. That was a definite advantage. Milan finished in third from Galatasaray, Basel, and of course Paul Flamengo didn't get underway at all. The drivers are making their way to the podium now, so we'll see them in just a moment. Bruce, that was an interesting comment that Davide Rigon made, not only about the tyres, but also about the start procedure.
Yeah, it was a bit of a strange start, I have to say, because the cars were just about to take their position and already the red lights were there and gone. So it was very fast. It must have been a bit of a surprise for them not to see the green light. But that's F1 procedure. And new tyres for Olympiacos, that's why he was flying. And now we're on the podium with AC Milan.
Yeah, it's been a good weekend, as Jelmer told us, because he's halved the gap between AC Milan and Tottenham at the top of the championship table. And there comes Chris van der Drift, getting the big round of applause once again for winning that super final. But in terms of the outright championship, Jelmer Berman very happy indeed. And in fact, all 3 of these guys have not given up their hopes of still winning this championship. So the anthem plays out, and the presentations now can be made to the top 3 in the super final. Nicolas Duchou, the broadcast director of Superleague Formula, is there to hand out the trophy and get things underway. So he takes the trophy over to Jelmer Berman, who finishes in 3rd place in that super final and comes away with a very useful pocket full of points this weekend to close up that gap to Craig Dolby. Davide Rigon, the trophy for 2nd place for Anderlecht, but the winner's trophy, and in a moment or two, the check as well, of course, which is even more significant, going to Chris van der Drift. He holds that trophy aloft for the 2nd time in a week. And where's that big prize money check? That's what he wants to get his fingers on for the 2nd time. A fantastic result for him and all those guys who worked so hard on the car.
Come on, bring me the money.
Yeah, there it is. There are the checks. They're about to hand them out. 100,000 euro to the winner, 75,000 euro to 2nd place, and the 50,000 euro check to Jelmer Berman. So not too disappointing a weekend for Berman. He might not have won the big prize money, but he's closed up the gap in the championship. He's come away with a very useful check there for 50,000 euro. Job well done, and he'll be looking forward to Zolder. Anderlecht, of course, are the Belgian football club that have had so much success, so it'll be home turf in a way for Davide Rigon. But there he is, getting used to the feeling, is Chris van der Drift, holding aloft the €100,000 check. And time now for that champagne celebration to get underway. Lots of people rushing away from the podium, and Chris is going to make the most of this, I'm sure. So it wasn't quite the weekend that Craig Dolby wanted. Bruce, if we look at it in terms of what's happened in the championship, do you see Dolby and Tottenham coming under a bit more pressure from these guys?
Yeah, clearly. I mean, it's been a difficult weekend for Craig. He started off with a bit of technical problems, and then he was late and he couldn't catch back the others in terms of setting his car up. Made a good race. In race 1, did still get some points, which is very important and good for the confidence that he finished in front of AC Milan in the second race. But yeah, the pressure's on. Only 30 points as a lead. We'll see how strong he is. I believe he's strong to carry on like this. We'll see.
Yep, I believe he's got what it takes, but he's going to have to prove it. And of course, the difficulty is with so many quick guys in this series, if you do have a poor qualifying, which is really what happened to him yesterday, you not only lose a couple of places on the grid, you end up right at the back because you've got such quality and depth now in this series.
Yeah, you're right. His qualifying time was actually quite good. He was only 6/10 off the quickest car in his group, and he was last.
Well, he still holds the championship lead, as you can see, by 30 points over AC Milan. FC Basel, still major contenders with Max Wissel, and well, he's been fast in the last couple of years, and going into the second half of the season, keep an eye on for him, and David Rigon for Anderlecht. Olympiacos strong too, then Flamengo, AS Roma, put in a good qualifying performance. They couldn't quite deliver in the races. FC Porto with a win this weekend, but Liverpool much more out of luck. Bordeaux got a good second place here today after disappointment in the first race, and Sporting Lisbon had a bit of a trying time. Corinthians promised to deliver, unfortunately didn't work out, and Galatasaray did deliver pretty well, particularly in second race. Seville again had a tough time. Atletico Madrid had a good result though, with fourth for Maria, and Beijing had a very disappointing time. So let's take a little look back over some of the incidents and accidents that have been we've been watching here today. Let's take a look back at race 1. Well, the start of race 1 was a little bit of a messy affair. The front row guys got squeezed out of the way as into the first corner. AC Milan's Jelmer Berman just snatched the advantage. Robert Dornbos for Corinthians found him deep in the middle of the pack, and it was Sebastian Bourdais who sprung out of that pack and only just managed to miss the tyre barrier on the opening lap. The pit stop saw AC Milan come in a little later than some of the others, but the strategy worked perfectly. He came out still in the lead and continued to build that advantage as he went to the checkered flag. One of the few incidents in the race was this one between Sporting Lisbon's Borja Garcia and PSV's Narain Karthikeyan. They would both be able to rejoin. And there was a tremendous tussle in the closing stages. For 5th place, AS Roma's Julien Jus held the place from Liverpool's James Walker. At the end, it was an easy victory for Jelmer Berman and a very useful 50 points to close up that gap in the points between AC Milan and Tottenham. So that was the first race of the day. That's how things got underway, and how Jelmer Berman started things extremely well. But let's take a look now at what happened in race 2. An entirely reversed grid, but it didn't really matter where he started from because James Walker didn't get underway. Porto got the start down into the first corner, beating the pole sitter Beijing, and Frank Montagny of Bordeaux was slotting there trying to take that position. Well, Sebastian Bourdais was able to take third from Beijing. Unfortunately, that wasn't to last. There were problems on the Lyon car later on in the race, and Beijing had an even worse time. A lock-up from Robert Dornbos of Corinthians. That didn't really affect his race in any way, but he didn't have as strong a result as he would have hoped. Tottenham stayed out a long time before they made their pit stop. PSV had this spin, which allowed AC Milan up another place, but untroubled in front, despite the pressure from Frank Montagny, Alvaro Parent maintained control. FC Basel made an insignificant pass on Tottenham towards the end of the race, but as we got to the checker flag, Alvaro Parent was able to become the 9th different winner of one of the 45-minute races so far this season, beating Frank Montagny of Bordeaux. So that's how the two 45-minute races went, and of course the major points on offer are indeed the points for those two races. The battle now 30 points between Tottenham and Milan, and which of those, if any, have the advantage going to the next race at Zolder, Bruce?
Anderlecht is quite good actually. I'm looking at the other ones because he lost the track. AC Milan has a very strong car. Tottenham has been winning in Zolder already, so all of them are looking good for Zolder, really.
Yeah, and in fact, I think Craig treats it as a little bit of a home circuit because a lot of his junior racing was done in the Belgian Formula Renault series. So he won't be uncomfortable about going to Zolder at all, I'm sure. There on the second page of that, a lot of people who've got to use Zolder to boost themselves, particularly, of course, Sébastien Bourdais, all the way down in 17th place for Olympique Lyonnais. PSV also would love to get a good result from Zolder. Well, that race is going to be taking place in some 3 weeks' time. We'll be looking forward to it. It's always a fantastic track, a former Grand Prix track, of course, and last year we had rain as well, just to add to the mix and make it even more entertaining. Thanks for joining us from the Nurburgring. From Ben Edwards, Bruce Joanny and Abby Griffiths and the rest of the team, bye-bye for now.